two issues always: getting the food where it's needed to people who need it, as the rich become richer and perhaps the poor become poorer, and there's less of a middle class inclined in our life. We've all done pretty good. When people make $70,000 to $150,000 to $180,000 incomes, that's the middle class. People that are, less than 35 grand, I suppose, and especially down around 18 grand, that's pretty poor in our society, where it's $600,000 to buy a basic 3-bedroom bungalow house. It's crazy. Food costs you a fair bit. As a single guy, I know what I'm spending. What's a family of 4 spending? Unless the mother's really sharp or the father picking out the groceries, that could be like $1,000 to $2,000 a month on groceries. So I know what I'm talking about. The food fanfare is a great deal with me. We all must eat. We all must have our basic needs met and taken care of. Housing, clothing, and food, right? In Canada, that's more important when you're sub-zero -30 temperatures like we had for about a 2-week stretch. It was bad. I froze my ear, the skin right off it. I answered my phone. My buddy Carmen was calling me to go for coffee, and I shouldn't have answered the phone, but I did, and my toque went up for 30 seconds, and the next day I couldn't feel my ear. 2 days later, and then the skin has been coming off it for a week. We got to watch here, right? So we got to work with food agencies, understand food, the importance of it, and then getting the message out where people eat. And I guess I want to challenge you. Everybody's a consumer. I'm a consumer. Farmers are consumers, but farmers also produce the food. Then there's marketing agencies. Come out to a trade show that's agriculture based. If you're a food agency, if you're a consumer group, lobbyist, marketing group, or even if you're McDonald's or a food retailer, come to an agriculture trade show, set up a booth about your restaurant or whatever it is, your food proportion, in amongst all the booths of the agrochemical, agri-fertilizer, agri-seed companies, the grain buying, logistic trucking companies, the parts and equipment salespeople, all of it. Set your booth. Let's mesh the consumer with the agriculture people and get talking better, because vertical integration is happening. Since I was a kid, attrition of farms has happened where people retire, smaller farms keep selling off, and bigger farms keep getting bigger. Well, there's been talk since I was a young man in my 20s. Vertical integration is happening. It's on its way. And there's not a lot of mergers left on the ag input side, Chemfert and seed. When I was younger, there was like 12, 16 major companies. Now there's about 4 in every sector of that. The grain side, on the commodity side, maybe there's room to trim 30%, but there's been some mergers and buyouts, and many of us went through that. Family life, families were harmed, extra hard work. You end up, the guys that made it to the next company ended up your enemy or competitor. You, next thing you know, you're working together, you're trying to be best buddies. All this weird stuff for the last couple decades or so. It looks different out in the farmland than it used to. But the point is, vertical integration is the next major thing that's taking over. And that's where large companies own everything in the food system, from the farm dirt to your table. All the marketing agencies, all the logistic companies, all the terminals and transpose of the actual food, raw crop input product, the crop seeds, in the binning and shipping of it. They own everything. The vessel company. And it may happen in 1 or 2 or more ways. It might be top down, where the big handling company is buying the farm, or it may be bottom up, where the huge farm is buying the grain company, because I've seen that in my day with these little farm co-ops that built big grain terminals. The next step is a huge one township farmer buying a Cargill or a Richardson's, and like it's not, you might want to call it a David conquering the Goliath scenario, but it might not even be that. So the food integration system is in process and it's happening and it has been underway. Get out and talk to people. Bring your food end of the concern to these trade shows. You're welcome. There's nobody that isn't welcome. You just be respectful and appreciate people. And farm rural people are quite respectable. It's in their roots, because when you got to work the land, there's a dire need in you to get out there and do that, to grow, to get your paycheck, right? It's a faith-based thing. You sow it, you reap it. And, so it's salt of the earth, raw people. They'll talk with you, but talk with respect. Give credit and ask questions and find stuff out, because there's a lot of myths on the internet that aren't true about food. I believe in good science. Good science. Good science has a faith element in it to keep developing technologies to better our society and the food system. But there might be the odd bad science out there too. Like if a gene split cow showed up in your farm with 2 heads, would the meat be any good in it? Would it be healthy for you? Well, I don't know. But there's a lot of good science, and when scientists are working trying to create species that rub together in an intersection of life, just like a man and a woman, create 2 species that rub together to get a better species, so there's higher yield, higher protein, higher nutrition content in your body, so you don't starve to death, you don't die of malnutrition. Malnutrition is the second biggest killer around the world, other than cancer. Not starvation, malnutrition, because people aren't getting enough zinc and manganese proteins in their food. Farmers have been trying to put and breed manganese and zinc proteins and nutritions in their food from the dirt plant level for the last 2 to 3 decades, and it's varied when the uptake, whereabouts geographically, some parts of the world more than others, so you, the consumer, can benefit. And you know what? I buy my Kyani nutrition pills, but if it comes right in the food, zinc added bonus to me, right? I don't have malnutrition issues because of it. And, we need to keep hearing the good stories out there. So the farmers aren't labeled as, I don't know what. You hear some story about something bad that happened and it gets magnified. Like that police officer that nudged his dog last week in Calgary with his knee. He nudged his dog to silence his dog because he was investigating something and he was in harm's way. And if his dog would have been barking, he would have been identified while he was standing back hiding in the tree, I suppose, not to be unknown to his, whoever, but he was like sneaking up. And so he nudged his dog with a knee. Well, people went out of control with this. And there were some people calling for him to be terminated, like he kicked his dog and beat it to death. And it didn't happen. It's like a child abuse or a wife beater who punches somebody, and who punches and beats somebody black and blue, and people treat someone who spanked somebody with an open hand like as though they beat somebody to death and punched them black and blue. Well, folks, let's be fair in our world. And I'm signing off with that message right now. Fairness is who Bernie May is. And I'm done talking about it. I've only got a few more videos left in me, and then this is going to be a stationary thing, this Founders Timeline, that you can go back and review in a 1-year review program. As you start up a multi-dimensional, multi-generational, multi-family respect group, you can go back and read and go through my videos in a 1-year time frame and all the clues to live successfully and do business successfully are in here, and that's good. Go with that, and we're moving on. We got a couple more videos maybe on my timeline coming here about my new Corvette once I get that. with my new income coming in this year that I suppose is coming by everything I've been doing and everything that's unfolding and everything that's happening. And then, the Connections Mountain Adventure side of our organization, our 14 groups of companies, I think they deserve another benefit here to tell some more story about the Alpine and some of the goodness out there, and even the culture of wining and dining, I suppose, in Banff, or one of my favorite country locations. So we'll go with that and go there. But, go forward, go well, and go in business. This is signing off our peacekeeping mode, our operations mode, our modus operandus, and it's the customer experience that gets that, the customer way. We will always be peacekeepers. We'll meet conflict head on and, take it down where we have to. We'll stand our ground to keep the peace, because that's the result you're going to get. And wouldn't you rather do business that has a peaceful mode of operation in your organization than something that feels like you're in a hurricane or a war every day? I don't want that. The hurricane method is about tearing down the destructive forces, getting to the roots of things that aren't working well in your organization so you can move on and go forward. Now go with that. Bernie Mace signing off, and you have a good day. And, keep us in mind for life coaching business on individual, but we really expect we're going to be a lot in the corporate training room, starting with our first training customer in our young 4-year company who's only done a handful of projects in the company name, our birth, 2017, March 22nd. You can watch the launch video on here again if you want, and go forward. And, business training is going to be our main thing. We got our 2 other customers, our fishery. We're working on closing here by March, April, I suppose. And our agriculture company in both Northwest United States and Eastern Canada. And hopefully, if I'm lucky and I keep working hard, by Christmas I'll pick up another 2 clients anywhere, I suppose. But it'd be nice to have at least one of them home here in Canada where I live. And then my kids can come visit me if they want, I suppose. And once COVID's done and we get through all the warfare of travel results of nothing about all that. But go from there. Have a good day, and God bless you now. And we'll see you soon in the marketplace. Amen.